What is up, YouTube? As you can tell, we are in the car. I have Lisa here. Let's see if she wants to pop out for a quick second. There she is. We are road tripping, and I want to talk to you guys about traveling with diabetes and try to avoid a lot of the headache that comes along with it, or can come with it, doesn't have to. So right now, I honestly don't know what state we're in. I think
We're in California.
we're in California? We're back in California. We started in Boise, Idaho, went through Utah, stayed in Utah last night, went through Vegas, so Nevada, then Arizona, now we're in California. Lots of different states and lots of driving. We got a couple hours left, well, 4 or 5 hours left to our home, but it's been a long trip, and we're probably not gonna road trip for a while because we just drove back from Texas a couple weeks ago, and that was 20 hours of driving, so that's enough. We're done driving, but actually we're not. We're moving to LA in a couple days. That's more driving. Okay, we can handle this. But I want to talk to you guys about diabetes and traveling. So as you probably know, I'm gonna take this guy off. I'm on an insulin pump, which gives me some advantages, but also potentially some, well, mostly advantages, I'm gonna say in this case. Because first I want to talk to you about time zones. We traveled through one time zone, so when it was 4 o'clock in California, it was 5 o'clock in Boise, Idaho. Not a big difference, which was great. But when you have some bigger time zones, that's where it can get difficult with your basal settings. So basal, or the background insulin, oftentimes is based on our hormone release. So different people have different types of hormone release. Some people live better and they thrive with something like Tresiba, where it's a basal insulin that's steady throughout the whole day. So if you're on an insulin pump, you might not have very many basal changes. However, myself, I thrived when I was on Lantus. Now Lantus has a bit of a peak, and then it comes back down, and by the time you get back to night, there's hardly anything in your system. My pump settings mirror that. So I have a lot of insulin right up front in the morning, and it continues through till about 4 p.m., which is about an hour from me right now. And then my basal settings dip off quite a bit. It halves, and then it halves again at 8 p.m. So my basal settings, they shift throughout the day. So I'm a different person than some other people might be when they require different basal settings. But when going through different time zones, that's where it can get tricky. So if you're traveling to Europe, you might see something like a 9-hour time shift, which means you have a different hormone schedule, and you might have to keep that in mind as you are traveling. Because if you're on your same schedule of basal and you forget to change it, then you're eating breakfast when you should have been eating dinner, and your body's freaking out because it doesn't know what to do. So to keep that in mind, on a pump, I like to change my settings when I get there. However, and what I mean by that is, I adjust my basal insulin to the current time zone upon reaching that time zone. So if it's 9 p.m. when I get to a place, I change my pump and say, hey, it's 9 p.m. right now. Some people I have heard like to change it 1 hour as they go through each time zone. So let's say if I'm driving across the US, when I get to Boise, I change it 1 hour. When I get to Michigan, I change it to, well, that's too far.
It's 3 hours ahead.
Yeah, so let's see. Texas. For some reason you went to Idaho to Texas. Then I change the next hour. Then I get to New York. Then I change it the next hour. Some people choose that, and it works for them great. So be aware of time zones. If you're on shots, just adjust that to your new time once you get there. For me, I like to wait. When I was on MDI, I would not take my current insulin if it was like a couple hours until that next time zone hits. I wouldn't want to overlap my insulin shots. And worst case, sometimes people like to get up in the middle of the night and give their shot at the same time. But again, you have to talk to your doctor about that one. That is a bit more tricky, and it can require a lot of personal customization since we are all different. Now, I want to talk to you about one more thing. This is really cool. It is keeping your insulin cool while traveling. It is super hot out here. It is the beginning of September, and it's just really hot. Driving through Utah, Las Vegas, Arizona, California, they're all hot. How do I keep my insulin cold? Well, there's 2 ways to do that. One, I can't show it to you right now since you're stuck in the corner of my car. There's there's a cooler in the back, styrofoam cooler. We packed it with ice packs, put some paper towels in there, and when we drove back from Texas, that's where I kept my insulin because I had a large supply. I was taking back and forth. However, for shorter supplies, this guy right here, this is a Frio case, and I'll show you a little bit inside of what it is. Inside is a pouch that you literally just add water. You get it wet, and through some magic science formula, it keeps things cold for up to 48 hours. And every 48 hours, you just re-soak it for 5 more minutes, and that's it. It's really cool. So I've got Lantus just in case my pump fails. I've got Humalog. I've got my insulin vial. And then last but not least, this is the secret weapon right here. This is a MedAngel 1. This thing tells my phone what temperature all this stuff is at. So this stuff, last thing I want to tell you about it is, this does not keep your insulin at refrigerator temperature, which is roughly 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It keeps it at room temperature, which is roughly 69, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And the reason that's so valuable is that if this gets above the correct range for insulin, the insulin goes bad. So if we're driving around and it's 110 degrees, the insulin will go bad. What this does is it protects that for 48 hours at a time. So if you're going camping, if you're going hiking, if you're road tripping across the nation, or like we are, this is where it comes in valuable, because it keeps it from getting too hot. It keeps it from going bad, and you don't have to worry about that. So check them out. This isn't paid advertising. I just love their stuff. The little device that tells me the temperature is called MedAngel, or MedAngel 1, and the case that it's all in is called Frio. Super cool. And don't let diabetes hold you back from traveling. I haven't done a whole lot of road trips, but the last tip I want to give you guys, bring snacks, bring food. We packed our lunch today so we can keep driving, but it's also useful for me because I know how many carbs are in that. I don't have to guess at some restaurant on the side of the road that doesn't have carb counts. So I have a carb count, I have my fats and proteins counted out already, and I'm able to be confident in these long road trips where we're driving through the middle of nowhere that I gave the correct amount of insulin. So those are a few quick tips for today. Hope you all are having an awesome day, and don't let diabetes hold you back. Go out there, travel, see the world, and I will see you guys in the next video. Keep up the fight.